Bugungi darsimizda Cambridge 16 test 4 section 4 analizini ko'rib chiqamiz va bu qismda birinchi navbatda savollarni o'qib olishimiz kerak bo'ladi. Xo'p, 1 minut to'g'rilab olganimcha settinglarni. Xo'p, o'z ko'rganingizdek bu qismda part 4 31 to 40 и one word only deyishdi. Bizga faqatgina bitta so'z ishlatishimiz kerak bo'ladi, talab qilinadi. Undan keyin extinction of dodo bird, demak dodo qushini extinction, ya'ni vymирание, ya'ni o'lib ketishi, yo'qolib ketishi degan haqidagi video bo'lar ekan, audio bo'lar ekan, prezentatsiya bo'lar ekan. The dodo was a large flightless bird which used to inhabit the islands of Mauritius. Demak, bu qismda alohida bo'lgan subheadlinelarga e'tibor berishdan kerak. History, description, research, reasons for extinction. Demak, chunki bularning orasida 3 sekundlik, 4 sekund, 3 sekundlik, 4 sekundlik pauza bo'ladi. Agar 30 sekund o'tkazib olsanglar, 38 o'tkazib olsanglar, masalan 39 40 yoki mana bu 30 dagi 30 sekund o'tkazib o'rgandan keyin men nima qilaman hozir, endi o'tkazib yubordim-ku, qanaqa qilib topishim mumkin demaysizlarda, description, mana description keldi, men 33 ni topib olayman degan o'zingizga uverенность bo'ladi. Xo'p, nima qilish kerak? Savollarni o'qish kerak-da, keywordlarni aniqlagan holda bizani nima ishlashimiz kerak, nima yozishimiz kerakligini tushunib olishimiz kerak. Mana o'z ko'rganda this year Portuguese ships transporting something stopped at the island to collect food and water. Demak, o'qishimda nimanidir transportirovka qilayotgan Portugal kemalari food va waterni collect qilish uchun to'xtab o'tgan ekan islandda. Demak, nima transport qilish mumkin? Qanaqadir produkt bo'ladi bu. Transporting gold, transporting silver, transporting meat, transporting fish, shunaqa qanaqadir produkt bo'ladi, commodity bo'ladi. 1638 the Dutch established on the island. Demak, o'qishimda shu yilda Dutchlar bu islandda nimadir yaratgan ekan. Nima yaratishi mumkin? Ko'ramiz, qanaqadir kompaniya yaratgan bo'lishi mumkin. Ko'ramiz. They killed dodo bird for their meat. One last killed this year. Description only recorded with pictures possibly unreliable. Dutch painting suggests dodo was very. Dutch paintingni ko'rsatadiki, suggest qiladiki, dodo very nimadir bo'lgan, juda ham nimadir bo'lgan, bu sifat bo'ladi. Juda ham ugly bo'lgan, juda ham beautiful bo'lgan, juda ham nimadir qanaqadir sifatda bu aniq. The only remaining soft tissue is a dried. Demak, bu qismda dodoni faqatgina yolg'iz remaining оставшийся, ya'ni saqlanib qolgan soft tissue, ya'ni bunaqa tkani, ya'ni to'qimasi bu dried, quritilgan nimadir. Demak, body part bo'ladi. Dried hand, dried wings, dried body, dried head, dried ears. Ya'ni nimadir bo'ladi. Endi bu qismda tana qismi bo'ladi. Recent studies of dodo skeleton suggest that the birds were capable of rapid. Demak, oxirgi studiyalar ko'rsatadiki, bu qushlar juda ham tez nimanigadir qo'lidan kelgan. Juda ham tez nima bo'lishi mumkin? Juda ham tez yugurish bo'lishi mumkin, running, juda ham tez harakatlanish bo'lishi mumkin, juda ham tez uchish bo'lishi mumkin, lekin flightless deyishdi. Juda ham tez bilmayman, nima qilish mumkin? Tez qushlar nima qilish mumkin? Flight bo'lishi mumkin. E'tibornaqa katta ehtimol bilan ko'ramiz. Qanaqadir harakat bo'ladi, qanaqadir movement bo'ladi, qanaqadir harakatni, movement ko'rsatadigan fe'l bo'ladi yoki ot bo'ladi. Ot bo'ladi asosan. It thought they were able to use their small wings to maintain. Demak, o'qishda o'z ko'rganingizdek, ular o'zini qanotchalarini ishlatgan holda nimanidir поддерживать qilgan. Nimani поддерживать qilish mumkin? Bilmayman. Nimanidir saqlanib qilgan, nimanidir saqlagan. There something was of every size. Nimalar ularning nimasi average bo'lgan, o'rtacha kattalikda bo'lgan. Ular nimasi bo'lishi mumkin? Ularning qaysi tana qismi bo'lishi mumkin? Their eyes, their nose, their teeth, their fingers, qanaqadir tana qismi bo'ladi. Their sense of something enabled them to find food. Demak, o'shanda ularning qanaqadir chuvsvasi ovqat topishga yordam bergan. Nima topishga, ovqat topishga yordam berishi mumkin? Their sense of vision, smell bo'lishi mumkin, hearing bo'lishi mumkin, qanaqa touch bo'lishi mumkin. O'sha qanaqa o'zi 5 tami 6 tami chuvство borda, sense borda, o'shalarni yozib olasizlar. Ularni bilsanglar, masalan, analiz qilish shundan boradi. Masalan, sense of touch bor, sense of smell bor, sense of vision bor, sense of hearing bor. Shunaqa javoblardan bittasi bo'ladi, bu aniq. Chunki bu logikada oddiy mantiq, ularni buni topish uchun ingliz tilini zo'r biladigan odam bo'lish kerak emas. Faqatgina kallani ishlatish kerak, ana bo'lmas kerak. Bunaqa o'tirmas kerakda, nima derkan deb hozir. Miyani ishlash kerakda, proaktiv bo'lish kerak. Qani nima yozishim mumkin shu yerda. Something also escaped onto the island at ate their bird egg. Sailors about dogs and monkeys. O'z ko'rganingizdek, sailorlar, suzuvchilar kuchuk bilan monkey olib kelgan ekan, yana nimadir onto the island orolga escape qilgan ekan, qochib o'tgan ekanda, qushlarni tuxumini yegan ekan. Bu ham qanaqadir hayvon bo'lishi aniq. Hayvon, animal. The arrival of farming meant the was destroyed. Demak, shunda farmingni kelishi shuni anglatganki, nimadir destroy qilingan, nimadir buzib tashalgan. Nima bo'lishi mumkin? Masalan, asosan o'ylab ko'rsangiz, masalan, nima bo'lgan? Tarixdan o'ylasangiz, umumiy jihatdan agar human historyni biladigan bo'lsangiz, fermerlik uchun ko'pchilik joylarda lake, ya'ni ko'llar quritiladi, anolar kesiladi, forestlar kesiladi, keyin agrikultura qilinadi. Endi menimcha forestga o'xshagan shunaqa so'z bo'ladi. O'zing ko'rganingda bu qismda masalan section 4 asosan analizdan boradi. Agar vaqtlaring bo'ladigan bo'lsa, masalan, men necha minut tomon o'tirman bu analiz ustida. 6 minutdan beri analiz qilib beraman masalaga. Ana shunaqa qilib analiz qilsanglar baraka topib ketasizlar. To'g'risi, agar analiz qilmasanglar o'tiraverasizlar. 2 ta topib, 3 ta topib. Zo'r bo'lsanglar ham masalan 8 ta 9 ta topishinglar mumkin. Analiz qilmasdan, yaxshi analiz qilmasdan agar zo'r bo'lib ketgan bo'lsa, masalan, вообще ingliz tili birinchi tillang bo'lishi bo'ladigan bo'lsa, lekin analiz bu tushunishni, analiz bu hamma savolga javob topishni asosi hisoblanadi. O'sha uchun ham analizni neglect qilmasliklaringni so'rab qolaman. Analiz juda ham muhim section 4 ga kelganda. Keling endi ko'p valdiramamiz, men valdirashni to'xtataman. Shuni aniqlamanda. Eshitamiz.
About a large bird called the dodo, which is now extinct. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
O'qib olamiz. Lekin o'qib oldik.
1 to 40.
Let's go. Javoblarni berishimiz kerak endi.
One of the most famous cases of extinction is that of a bird known as the dodo. In fact, there's even a saying in English, as dead as the dodo, used to refer to something which no longer exists. But for many centuries, the dodo was alive and well, although it could only be found in one place, the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. It was a very large bird, about 1 meter tall, and over the centuries it had lost the ability to fly, but it survived happily under the trees that covered.
O'z ko'rgingizga e'tibor berishingiz kerak. Bu qismda men har bitta so'zni masalan aytganidan men underline qilib ketyapman. Mauritius da underline qildim, large bird da underline qildim, flightless da underline qildim. Men eshitib ketayotganimdan, follow qotganimdan dalolat beradi bu. Ko'pchilik o'quvchilar nima qiladi? Qarab o'tiradi, men o'z keladi, establish beradi. Men o'sha gapirib tashlang, yorib tashlayman, o'tsikina deydi, lekin o'tkazaveradi. Bu listening konsentratsiyadan juda ham ko'p talab qiladigan va konsentratsiyangiz bo'lmasa, sizni uxlatib qo'yadigan testda bu. O'shuning uchun ham konsentratsiyani ushlaylar. Miyaning bilan boshqa joylarga ketib qolmaydi.
Covered the island. Then, in the year 1507, the first Portuguese ships stopped at the island. The sailors were carrying spices back to Europe.
Sailors were carrying spices back to Europe. Ziravorot ketayotgan ekan. Spices. Ziravorot ketayotgan ekan, back to Europe. Ko'ramiz, o'qiymiz. Oy. Then in the year 1507, the first Portuguese ship stopped at the island. The sailors were carrying spices back to Europe. Demak, o'qishda transportirovkasi spice bo'lgan ekan, ziravorlar. Keyingisi.
And found the island a convenient stopping place where they could stock up with food and water for the rest of the...
Stock up degan so'zni ishlatdi mana. Stock up degani collect degani, with food and water. The stock up with food and water. Bu qismda e'tibor bersanglar, bu so'zlarni agar e'tiborli bo'lib yodlasanglar, juda ham baraka topib ketasizlar, chunki men qarang, stock up degan so'zni ishlatdi. Stock up degan so'zni masalan sizga stock up deyishingiz mumkin, collectda. Wow dedi, collectni sinonimini bilarkan dedi. Vashi qo'yib qolib ketadi.
The voyage, but they didn't settle on Mauritius. However, in 1638, the Dutch arrived, and set up a colony there.
Set up, establishni sinonimi. Set up a colony there dedi. Javob colony bo'ladi. Men qarayda bir buni qilgan deymanmi? Judayam deja vu. Balki o'chib ketgandir, balki to'g'rimi? To'g'ri. Qisqasi 10 minut bo'lib turdi. Darrov 10 minut bo'lib ketdi, o'chib ketdi. Xo'p, o'z ko'rganingizda set up degan so'z anoni Dutch arrived и set up a colony. Javob set up sinonimida, set up establishing sinonimi, set up a colony there. Shuni koloniya yaratishgan ekan. Colony bo'ldi, javob colony yozib qo'ydim.
These first human inhabitants of the island found the dodo birds a convenient source of meat, although not everyone liked the taste. It's hard to get an accurate description of what the dodo actually looked like. We do have some written records from sailors and a few pictures, but we don't know how reliable these are. The best known picture is a Dutch painting in which the bird appears to be extremely fat. But this may not...
In which the bird appears to be extremely fat. Javob fat. Very extremely synonym boximda va javob fat bo'ladi. Qani, Dutch painting in which the bird appears to be extremely fat. Javob.
Not be accurate. An Indian painting done at the same time shows a much thinner bird. Although attempts were made to preserve the bodies of some of the birds, no complete specimen survives. In the early 17th century, 4 dried parts of a bird were known to exist. Of these, 3 have disappeared. So only one example of soft tissue from the dodo survives, a dodo head.
A dodo head dedi. Boshi survive qilgan ekan. Boshi bor ekan. A dried head. Dodo head. Javob head. Xo'p, only one example of soft tissue from the dodo survives. Dodo head. And dried head is the answer. Dried head bo'ldi javob. Davom etamiz.
Bones have also been found, but there's only one complete skeleton in existence. This single dodo skeleton has recently been the subject of scientific research, which suggests that many of the earlier beliefs about dodos may have been incorrect. For example, early accounts of the birds mention how slow and clumsy it was. But scientists now believe the bird's strong knee joints would have made it capable of movement which was not slow, but actually quite
Capable of movement which was not slow but actually
fast.
Quite fast. Javob rapid movement bo'ladi. Fast movement dedi. Movement. For example, early accounts of the birds mention how slow and clumsy it was, but scientists now believe the bird's strong knee joints would have made it capable of movement, which was not slow but actually quite fast. Javob movement, harakat. Keyingisiga o'tamiz.
In fact, one 17th century sailor wrote that he found the birds hard to catch. It's true that the dodo's small wings wouldn't have allowed it to leave the ground, but the scientists suggest that these were probably employed for balance while going over uneven ground.
Employed for balance, demak balansni ushlash uchun uneven ground, ya'ni notekis yo'lda balansni ushlash uchun ishlatilgan ekan. Balance. Javob balans bo'ladi. Xo'p, mana o'qiymiz. It's true that dodo small wings wouldn't have allowed it to leave the ground, but the scientists suggested these were probably employed for balance while going over uneven ground. Javob balance.
Another group of scientists carried out analysis of the dodo's skull. They found that the reports of the lack of intelligence of the dodo were not borne out by their research, which suggested the bird's brain was not small, but average in size.
They suggest that the bird's brain was not small but average in size. Their brain was average in size.
In fact,
Stop. Borne out by the research which suggests that bird's brain bird's brain was not small but average in size. Bird's brain qushi miyasi average bo'lgan in size. Ya'ni ana razmeri o'rtacha bo'lgan.
in relation to its body size, it was similar to that of the pigeon, which is known to be a highly intelligent bird. The researchers also found that the structure of the bird's skull suggested that one sense which was particularly well developed was that of smell. So the dodo may also have been particularly good at locating ripe fruit and other food in the island's thick vegetation.
Smell dedi. Sense of smell food topishga ripe fruitlarni, ya'ni pishgan mevalarni topishga yordam bergan. Smell. Sense of smell. Hid bilish. Sense suggests that one sense which was particularly well developed was that of smell. Smell javob bo'ladi.
So it looks as if the dodo was better able to survive and defend itself than was originally believed. Yet, less than 200 years after Europeans first arrived on the island, they had become extinct. So what was the reason for this? For a long time it was believed that the dodos were hunted to extinction. But scientists now believe the situation was more complicated than this. Another factor may have been the new species brought to the island by the sailors. These included dogs, which would have been a threat to the dodos, and also monkeys, which ate the fruit that was the main part of the dodo's diet. These were brought to the island deliberately. But the ships also brought another type of creature, rats, which came to land from the ships and
rats dedi. Demak kalima shular. Deliberately, mana dogs, monkeys deliberately olib kelingan dedi, lekin rats dedi, qochib ketgan dedi.
rapidly overran the island. These upset the ecology of the island, not just the dodos, but other species too. However, they were a particular danger to the dodos because they consumed their eggs.
These were brought to the island deliberately, bilib turib olib kelingan, but the ships also brought another type of creature, rats, which came to land from the ship rapidly overran the island. Javob qisqasi rats bo'ladi.
And since each dodo only laid one at a time, this probably had a devastating effect on populations. However, we now think that probably the main cause of the bird's extinction was not the introduction of non-native species, but the introduction of agriculture. This meant that the forest that had once covered all the island and that had provided a perfect home for the dodo was cut down so that
forest was cut down. O'zini ko'rganligimda forest degandim. Chunki bu logikada balki topib ko'rlar, masalan, yerda, masalan, agrikultura, masalan, nima qilinadi? Ikkita yo'l bor. Masalan, juda mana tekis yo'l bor. Tekis joy bo'ladigan bo'lsa, ikkita yo'l bor. Suv bo'ladigan bo'lsa, suv quritiladi, forest bo'ladigan bo'lsa, daraxtlar kesib tashlandi. Javob forest bo'ladi. Buni bilish uchun sizlar ingliz tilini bilishing shart emas. Buni bilish uchun faqatgina farosat kerak. Introduction of agriculture meant that the forests had once covered the island, had provided a perfect home for the dodo, was cut down, that crops such as could be grown.
Such as sugar could be grown. So, although the dodo had survived for thousands of years, suddenly it was gone.
Shu bilan bugungi darsimiz o'z nihoyasiga yetadi. Bu listening bo'yicha oxirgi darsimiz, oxirgi videomiz edi. Sizlarga foydali, manfaatli video bo'ldi degan umiddaman. Biror narsamda hamma savollarga javoblarni circle qildik va agar aniq bo'lmaganlarni, javob bo'lmaganlarni endi javobga yordam bergan qismlarni underline qilishga harakat qildik. Savol bo'ladigan bo'lsa kommentarda qoldirishinglar mumkin. Tushunmay qolgan joylarni iltimos faqatgina skriptni o'qigan holda, skriptni o'qib, kirillli so'zlarni tarjima qilgan holda hamma narsani tushunishlik mumkin. Agar o'sha muammo bo'ladigan bo'lsa kommentarda qoldiringlar. Sizlar bilan ko'rishguncha xayr. Bye bye guys.